Yesterday, a caller to our show said, I don't think we need the military there. We just need more ICE. You should send in more ICE. And I was asking the question, are these ICE personnel necessarily trained for what they are now facing? I know they're trained to enforce immigration law, and I know they're good at carrying that out. But if they're in a situation where they're surrounded by hostility, where they're in essentially an urban battlefield, where they have no support and actually might be undermined by state officials and local, would that be an argument for the military to go in and kind of bodyguard them? Let's bring in Willie Eng from Blue Armor Security, who has worked in both federal and local law enforcement, SAPD, United States Secret Service, among his many credentials. And Willie, good afternoon. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me, Jack.
From what you know, I know you didn't actually work for ICE, but from what you know, are they trained, and are they, I'm trying to use a respectful word, are they capable of this situation, which is very different from what they would normally be encountering as they enforce immigration law? And would it make sense to give them the protection of military backup?
Well, I'll answer the short part first. Yes, military backup I would think is necessary at this point. Again, we have joint task force all over the nation, where you have federal and local and state law enforcement agencies that work and collaborate together for the common cause, right, which is going to be public safety. So the short answer is yes, absolutely. Second, what people don't understand is FLETC, Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, trains over 90 federal agencies, and all the basic type of training that they receive. For example, of ICE, U.S. Marshals, Secret Service, TSA, several of these federal Border Patrol, they all go to FLETC, and they all receive the same training. Mm-hmm. The only two federal agencies like FBI and DEA, for example, they train in Quantico. But everyone else, all these other 90 federal agencies and some state agencies, all train at FLETC. So they all receive the same training, which is, your firearms, your tactical self-defense, cybercrime, different types of investigations, depending on the agency and what you're responsible for training. And then also whatever it is you're allowed to enforce. DEA obviously doesn't enforce immigration laws. That's ICE. ICE doesn't go after people with firearms. That's ATF. So they're all going to FLETC, and then they break off once they get that foundation of training, and then they get into their specialized training based on what their agency is responsible for enforcing.
It's just what I keep thinking about is, it's one thing when the threat is like a desperate illegal alien criminal who does not want to be taken in. And I can totally believe that they are trained and equipped for that. But what's going on behind and around these men and women is a whole matrix of other threats that they are endangered, not just by the person they're hunting, but by a bunch of people who have appointed themselves some sort of insurrection and who are saying federal immigration law is unenforceable and illegitimate. Those people are being praised by and encouraged by state and local elected leaders. It almost makes the ICE mission in Minneapolis like a foreign deployment.
You're absolutely correct. And what's disappointing, Jack, is this is something that's been occurring and building up for quite some time. And I'm removing politics from this. And I always do that when I talk about public safety. I never mix the two. But I saw it firsthand, the shift. And that shift occurred during the Obama administration, where it was okay for the disrespect of law enforcement. It was okay to fight law enforcement back. and it's gotten worse throughout the years, and it's getting to the now. And this is what we're dealing with now, because became complacent, and we catered to the snapshots and the emotions of people versus the truth and the reality of what was going on, and we were playing patty cake with law enforcement. Now we're in the position we're in now. This would have never happened years ago. People respected law enforcement, understood they were, of uniform of authority and there to protect us. Now they have been taught and brainwashed that they're the enemy. And that is the problem we're dealing with now. To your point, you have these ICE agents that are trained appropriately to apprehend the suspect, not trained to apprehend the suspect. And, be aware of your surroundings, because all these innocent people, or people not involved, I should say, with the actual arrest, are going to jump you from behind, throw snow at you, rocks, sticks, bust your windows up. This is all new now. And so these agencies are going to have to pivot with the new culture we're dealing with and the reality we're dealing with, and we're going to have to train these officers. Growing up, even with me in the early 90s, if somebody threw a stick at you or hit you with a stick, you're knocking them on their butt, you're apprehending them, and you're taking them to jail. Now you see this happening. These officers are being assaulted, and they're running and getting into their vehicles and fleeing, and it should never be that way.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's also it's a lot to ask of them to both carry out the mission. Well, three things really: carry out the actual mission of finding and apprehending the illegal alien, protecting themselves as they do so, but also showing almost unreasonable restraint, having to go like bend over backwards so that some, crazy co-ed can have her TikTok moment. And with the knowledge that this will blow up like a powder keg if there is, one more shooting, one more fatality, and I think it's really a thankless job, and I don't think they should have to watch their backs while they're looking forward trying to find these people.
I agree. What's going to be happening is happening in Minneapolis already, and these people are going to realize quickly what it is to have a city, a community without law enforcement. You have law enforcement officers resigning from that police department and jumping over to the federal agencies. They are leaving Minneapolis PD and they're going to work for ICE and other federal agencies. When this is all done, and these officers are going to remain as federal agents, and no one's going to want to go and patrol the streets and protect the innocent people in Minneapolis. And so down the road, they're going to see just how bad it is with the seeds that they're planting once they start to harvest and they don't have the protection that they need for their city and for their community.
Willie Eng, Blue Armor Security, with us on the KTSA Quarter Moon Plumbing, AC, Heating, Newsmaker line. Willie, great to have you, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.